Okay guys, let's get into the skin fade haircut tutorial. So the first thing we're gonna do is grab our outliner and we're gonna go ahead and skin out the head. We're gonna go start at the temple area of the head and we're gonna go do that same thing all the way around the head, guys. All the way around. You wanna go to the other side and start at the temple area as well and just basically connect the line. Make sure that you're going over the fade, going over the hair and just making sure it's nice and clean. You don't wanna have to go back over that anymore, you know, when you finish the haircut. You want to make sure all the hair is gone before you start your next step. Just make sure everything's nice and clean. Bend the ear. What I did here was grab a shaver, and I'm going to go ahead and just shave up to that skin line. Not all the way up, but I'm basically fading it up. Now what you see me doing here is I grab the 3 guard, and I'm basically just clearing out that bulk. You know, I want the canvas to be clean before I start the fade, so I don't want it to be all bulky. I want to have a nice room for a fade, guys. So you want to clear that bulk, because if you don't, you're gonna see like it's not gonna look right. It's not gonna look correct. So next thing I'm doing is I'm starting my first guideline, and what I did was grab my wall magic clips and open up the lever all the way. And what I did was just basically make a guideline. And you're going to continue to do that all the way around the head. Same step. So now you can see we have 2 guidelines. We have our half guideline and we also have our skin line. Don't start thinking about the skin line, and a lot of new barbers start thinking about that right away. So what I did here was grab 2 guard, and I'm just basically doing the same thing I did with the 3 guard. Just clearing out the bulk. Just want to make sure it's not doing too much to the head, but I just wanted to go over it anyway. So that's exactly what I'm doing right here. So what I'm doing here is I drop down to my 1.5, and as I get higher, I'm basically fading into that 2 guard. So I'm closing it up. As I get higher, I'm opening the lever and fading up into that 2 guard. So what I did here was drop down to our 1 guard. And I'm basically doing the same exact steps I was doing before. I close the machine, and as I get higher, I'm opening the lever to fade into that 1.5 guard. And you're gonna do these same steps all the way around the head. Slow it down a little bit for you guys. Same steps, fade it out. As you get higher, open up that lever. You can see me, the machine, I'm moving my thumb. My thumb is basically opening the lever and closing the lever. So you want to do that all the way around the head. Now, if you guys are just starting out, practice that movement without fading hair. Practice moving that lever and flicking your wrist and moving the lever. This is gonna give you, just give you that natural reflex of doing it. And that's gonna allow you to, basically when you start to fade hair, you're gonna have that reflex like automatically. As you can see, the fade is starting to take place now because of that guard. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop down to our half guard and we're gonna blend out our first guideline. All right, we drop down to our half guard and we're gonna go do shorter strokes. And all we're doing is concentrating on that first guideline that we made, that half, that machine all the way open. That's what we're concentrating on right now. You can't really see it. On certain people's hair, it fades out right away with just that 1 guard. But I'm gonna go over it anyway because you can see it in some places. And you can see that fade is really starting to take place. And the last line we're gonna worry about is the most terrifying line to a lot of the new guys, is that skin line. We're gonna work on that as soon as we finish this half, but we're gonna go all the way around the head and do the same exact thing. Shorter strokes. Use a brush to basically brush out any excess hair. Because a lot of times you'll probably think that you're not fading hair correctly. A brush is always a good tool to, clear out that excess hair. Sometimes when you use a comb, I use a comb a lot, but sometimes depending on the person, when you use the comb, it won't, you know, it won't get that excess hair that's being left behind, especially in the summertime. If somebody's sweating or something like that, or kind of hot, that hair would tend to stick to the person's head. So a brush will really get that out. Basically just applying the same steps all the way around the head. Again, flicking the wrist and moving that lever. Making sure it's nice and clean before we start our last line. Okay, here we go with our skin line. You want to close your machine all the way. Now, if you guys remember in the beginning of the cut, we opened the machine all the way and we made that first guideline. Well, you got to try to remember where you put that guideline at. So it's invisible right now. You can't see it, but if you remember where it's at, as you open your lever, you want to open it up all the way and you won't create another line. So a lot of new guys keep their machine closed and they don't bring the lever up enough, and they basically end up creating another line and get discouraged and, you know, feel like they messed up the haircut. So as long as you're opening that lever as you start to put your clipper up, you'll be fine. So I'm gonna do this all the way around the head. As you can see, the fade is nice and blended out. And I'm gonna continue to do this all the way around the head. Fade looks a lot better. Same thing on this side. Concentrate on what you're doing, especially on that skin line. You guys want to make sure that you're concentrating on what you're doing. Make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing, especially when it comes time to the skin line. Again, make sure when you're getting higher, make sure that you're opening that lever and your fade will come out good. And there you go, guys, a nice clean fade. We want to go ahead and trim the top a little bit. He doesn't want that much hair off. So what we're going to do is comb the hair back. I'm going to do basically a standard trim. I'm not going to go crazy. Just a couple fingers long. And I'm just going to trim it straight across. Nice, easy trim, guys. Following the step of my fingers. So in this case, I'm using about 2 fingers, or about a finger and a half, if that makes sense. And I'm just using that as my guide. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and line up the front. I wanna kind of stay away from the top edges of them. Kind of gonna just kind of what they would call ghost ride. So I'm not gonna go all the way up into his hair. You can see it's a little light there. I'm not gonna go up too high. So I just wanna stay in that area and go straight across. I don't wanna go too high. I don't wanna make it rounded. You wanna try to just follow the way the hair is growing, basically, and not, you know, go too high. Depending on the person's hairline, of course, everybody's hair will be different. In this particular case, like I said, I just wanna make sure I'm staying in the correct area. Same thing on the other side. Pushing the hair up, the hair that he's gonna keep. And I'm just going into that area. We'll make it a lot more sharper with the straight razor. Next thing I'm gonna do is grab my straight razor. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some Easy Blade shave gel. Just gonna apply it on the head so I can allow that blade to glide. And I'm just gonna make it a lot more sharper. All right, making sure I'm pulling the skin, angling that blade at a 30 degree. And I'm gonna go up, pull down the skin. I'm gonna go up on the forehead. Same thing on each side, guys, and this is basically what you have. There's your skin fade with the shape up. Talk to you guys soon. Again, Jay here from EasyBladeShavingProducts.com.